How did African spiritual traditions blend with Catholicism in the Americas? Imagine arriving in a new land where your old beliefs are forbidden, yet you still want to keep your spiritual roots alive. That's what happened to millions of Africans brought to the Americas during the colonial era. The transatlantic slave trade forced Africans into slavery under Spanish and Portuguese rulers. They carried with them rich spiritual traditions from West and Central Africa. When they reached the Americas, they faced a new challenge. European colonizers pushed Catholicism as the official religion and demanded conversion. But the enslaved Africans didn't give up their spiritual practices. Instead, they found ways to mix their traditions with Catholic beliefs, creating a new kind of faith. This process is called religious syncretism. It allowed them to honor their ancestors and gods while appearing to follow Catholic saints. For example, in Afro-Caribbean religions like Santería in Cuba, practitioners identified African deities called Orichas with Catholic saints who shared similar traits. They would pray to the saint and the Oricha at the same time, blending both worlds. African drums, dances, and symbols became part of Catholic festivals. They used familiar rhythms and movements to keep their culture alive during Catholic ceremonies. Enslaved Africans also formed religious brotherhoods within the Catholic Church. These groups helped them keep their spiritual practices secret and provided community support. They would organize rituals, celebrations, and burials that combined African and Catholic elements. Over time, in places like Brazil and the Caribbean, these traditions grew into creolized religions. These religions combined African, Indigenous, and European influences into one vibrant faith. They often thrived outside the strict control of the Catholic Church, becoming part of everyday life. Festivals and pilgrimages mixed Catholic saints with African spirits, creating lively, colorful events that still happen today. This blending of beliefs shows how African culture survived and adapted under colonial rule. It also shaped the diverse religious landscape of Latin America. Even after centuries of oppression, African spiritual traditions left a lasting mark on music, dance, and religious practices across the region. Understanding this history helps us see how resilient and creative enslaved Africans were in preserving their identities. It also reveals how Latin American Catholicism is not just European but deeply intertwined with African and Indigenous roots. This history is part of what makes Latin American culture so rich and diverse today.